Hi there, welcome. This is Diane with another little mini lesson in our Blondes Prefer Gentlemen series. I think that one of the exciting things that I get to share is a certain philosophy about real relationships with real women, with real men who want a real lifelong partner. So kind of the stuff that I hear in some of the emails that I get about quick pickups and, scoring, whatever. That is not what, that's not where my focus is. I'm talking about the real, the one that will, be your lifelong partner. And so that being said, what I want to talk about has to do with actually preparing yourself for the one. A lot of times people talk about, oh, I haven't found the one, I haven't found the one. But what if you do? What if you find the one, but then you're not the one for her because you're not ready for her? And so I think it's a good idea to show your future spouse, your future lifelong committed partner, how much you love her by what you're willing to do to prepare to have her in your life the moment she enters. Preparing yourself so that when, that not just that she's a good prospect, but that you're a good prospect. I've had several people who, it wouldn't be for lack of attraction at all that, why I wouldn't choose to have that be a partner. But, when you're not a youngster and you're looking for a relationship, or when you've been divorced and remarried or whatever, you're very hesitant to enter a relationship where, somebody hasn't done certain soul work, or they haven't done certain preparatory things to be ready to have somebody else enter your life. When you get a little bit older, and when I mean older, I mean like not in your 20s, your late 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever. You're dealing with people who are more established in their life. They may have children, they may have homes, they may have all kinds of things. And so when you meet somebody and, you're just dynamite, you were like, oh yes, I would love to have them in my life. And, you can't help it, but you imagine, okay, I have this picture and this woman will, be inserted into my picture because she's what I want. But that's not the way reality is, because she has her own picture of things. And so there has to be a real compromise. There may be children involved. There may be, jobs involved where you're at separate ends of the country or separate ends of the globe, that sort of thing. But what if there's no way that you're ready to, invite somebody into your life to scoop her up because you can barely take care of yourself? You can barely take care of yourself. I love it when I see, when I've looked at thousands, and that's not a joke, I mean thousands of singles profiles of men, and even just the photos that they post, and they just reek of poverty. Well, why would I want to invite that in my life? Do I imagine myself, insert gorgeous blonde here in those photos? No. There have been a few people who've come, from all over the different places, and they share with me their photographs and of their life, the things that they enjoy doing. And they're great photographs. They're wonderful. They're, of all kinds of different things, of trips and activities and adventures that they've gone on. And, they're nice for them. But I don't see myself slipping into those photos. I have no desire to do that. And so, I know, and not just that I don't want to, but I know I am not going to change somebody the way that they are. If they don't have interests that I'm interested in, if all their pictures that they show are not anything that I'm remotely interested, we can expand and do our things. But if they're just not like that, we probably won't be very compatible, so, or maybe, they're living in such a way that they are living like a pauper, where they can, maybe they're living with other people and they're barely scraping by, caring for one person, or maybe they have other financial obligations from previous relationships, previous marriages, child support, spousal support. And so, where does that leave the new person in the relationship? You're already starting like 5 blocks behind. So, do your future person in your life the honor of preparing your life in such a way that when she comes, you're ready for her. You're ready to scoop her up and run off into the sunset. How much does it cost for a wedding? How much does it cost for an engagement ring? How much does it cost for a honeymoon? How much does it cost for, where you're going to live? A lot of people don't even consider, basic things like that. But if you ever watch some of those, those reality things like The Bachelor, oh my gosh, the rings are so expensive. I don't think most women expect that sort of thing, but you got to think about that too, And I heard something, I went out to dinner with a couple, and I was so impressed at both of them, at how they handled that thing with the ring, because they both had been divorced and they both remarried to each other. And she was very, very neglected and financially abused in her marriage, and she just always felt guilty about, having people spend money on her. And, it's very interesting to witness that sort of thing. But when he, was not that way, and he was prepared to cherish her and show it with his time, with his pocketbook, with his, devotion. And it was something she had not experienced before. And so they were looking at rings, to get married. And he said, he wanted her to have the one that she wanted, and he knew it would be there, forever, and they were going to have their relationship go on and on and on. And it was down to these 2 different rings. And she knew one of them was a great deal more expensive than the other one, and she felt like, I don't want to I feel bad spending so much money on a ring. And he just said, for as long as we're going to be married, that's only another $10 a month for the next 30 years. Don't even worry about it. I want you to have the ring that you want. And he didn't have her feel any pressure. He didn't have her feeling it. And she thought, that is the one I really want. I really want that ring, if whatever, if you're saying. So, but anyway, that's the kind of, women walk with trepidation, thinking, oh, I don't want to, have him think I'm this money grubbing, whatever. It wasn't that at all. He just wanted her to have the ring that she wanted. But he was in a position to do that. Now, isn't that a wonderful way to start a relationship where he's prepared in all those ways? He had a home, he had plenty of money, and they could start a whole relationship. They could go on a long honeymoon. They could come back and make plans for life. And it just is interesting to me how a lot of people who are in their late 40s, their 50s, some of them in their late 50s, and they have nothing with which to start a relationship or a family. I mean, they can barely afford to go out to dinner. Why would a woman sign up for something like that? Even if she has plenty of money herself, for a person who demonstrates a lack of respect for his stewardship as a man, and as a contributing member to society or whatever, it says a lot more about a person's character, about how they handle all those things. So just some little tidbits, and I hope you find that helpful. And I'm just sharing certain things as they come to my heart, and hopefully that you find them helpful and give you something to really think about. And most of all, that when you see somebody who maybe hasn't had a little tutoring in the area of relationships, that something that I say may spark a little something that you might like to pass it along. So I do hope you found this helpful, and I appreciate you spending this special time with me. I'm Diane, the Blonde.